folks. Happy Tuesday to you. My name is Bob Leahy, and I'm with the Dow Tile organization out of Dallas, Texas. I'm our executive sponsor in North America for all things outdoor. And today's discussion is going to be about outdoor living environments, which are a very high trending piece of the construction industry today. And we put together really a world-class panel this morning, from landscape architecture to top flight interior design, and then I'm kind of the product know-it-all guy. So I'd like to start off with thanking you for attending this morning. We are located at the show here in the North Hall at booth N2309, Dow Tile N2309. And we have so much fun for you when you come on over, because we're the only building product company in our space that can supply you 360 solutions for beautiful interiors and beautiful exteriors, all from one supply chain partner. Makes life easy, takes a lot of hassle out of the business. So please stop over and visit with us. I'd like to introduce our moderator today, Miss Lindsay Shook. Lindsay is the editor-in-chief of California Home and Design. Lindsay.
Good morning. It's so nice to see so many faces so early. Thank you for coming to hear our discussion on creating comfort in the outdoor kitchen. I know in California, we basically live outside, so it's a very important design category for us. So we've brought in a few amazing experts to help share their expertise, the challenges they face, and much more in this area. I'd like to start by introducing Robert Bell, president of Bell Design. And next, Alyssa Conchardo, founder of Alyssa Conchardo Interior Design. And then Bob, if you'll come back. Bob's the Senior Vice President of Home Center and Outdoor Living Sales for Dow Tile. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
So I'd love if you could start and just give a quick intro about who you are, where you work, what region you're in, so people get an idea of what they're dealing with.
Sure. My name is Robert Bell. I'm based in Washington, D.C. I'm a landscape architect. I do a lot of residential from Nantucket to Palm Beach and out west to Tahoe and Park City. Working on some really cool projects right now that I think we'll get into a little bit. But yeah, all over the country.
All over the place. So you have to know a lot about plants.
Yeah, everywhere.
Right. How about you, Lisa?
Hi, my name is Alyssa Conchardo, and I'm based out of Park City and Palm Desert. I've been doing luxury high-end design for now 16 years. And we have projects in Palm Desert, LA, Napa, Park City, so we deal with a lot of different climates as well. And we've been able to grow and be able to support our clients in making all the best decisions for their interior and exterior spaces.
Bob?
Well, hello again this morning. Bob Leahy with Dow Tile, and a member of the executive team out of our Dallas headquarters. I've been affiliated with our organization for about 40 years, and I lead all things outdoor.
That's a lot of product.
In wonderful environments.
So I want to start by asking all of you a question with, this evolution of outdoor living. As it continues to expand and evolve, can you each share one of the biggest changes you've seen in outdoor design in the past 5 years? So Bob, I'll start with you.
Great, yeah, thank you. I would say the biggest merging trend in outdoor living is the expansion of porcelain products. Porcelain is gaining market share in all the areas, whether it's in paving, vertical applications, countertops, cladding. It's a superior building product versus other choices that have been in the market for decades, and you're seeing this surging happening in the marketplace today, and is continuing to be the fastest growing part of the hardscape industry.
And that's just because of the evolution of the technology of porcelain production? Or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's two things that drives that. One, as your global manufacturers improve their technology and their design capability, replicating nature gets easier. And we can bring these beautiful designs that replicate nature, but with the feature benefit story of porcelain. So think about that. It's frost proof, you can use it anywhere. It doesn't fade, it doesn't stain. It's easy to care for. Life cycle costs are tremendous. So when you think about outdoor environments, the application of porcelain products just delivers better solutions for a better world.
And Alyssa, what about you? I know you do a lot of outdoor designing in the desert especially. So what's been the biggest change or request you've had in the past 5 years?
The biggest change I've seen is actually the climate in the desert. It's gone much hotter in the summers, and there's a lot more sand, which brings more challenges to the outdoor kitchen areas. So I've actually started enclosing them a lot more, just because all of the appliances and barbecues.
So like full wall surrounds.
Glass.
And glass. Oh.
Glass. Yeah, so it's more of but also then it just creates another layer of indoor-outdoor to the space of your home. And then at least we can close off the glass during the summer and the sandstorms. But it does add for more Title 24 and glass and things like that. It's harder to get through the building codes and things in permitting. So it has become a bigger process, but in the long run, your kitchen lasts longer.
So it's an outdoor kitchen that feels outdoor because it's indoor.
It's the glass walls, yes. Yeah.
And what about you, Robert? What are you seeing? Because you're designing, gosh, Palm Beach especially. I know we deal with a lot of hurricane and harsh winds and seawater. And, what are the challenges you're seeing?
Yeah, great question. So trend from the last 5 years, I'm going to say the C word, which is COVID. And, everyone wanted to move outdoors. So outdoor kitchens and fireplaces, which we were sort of talking about very briefly earlier, kind of the opposite on the East Coast. Everyone sort of wanted to open things up and not enclose them. In the South, certainly longer seasons of enjoyment with outdoor dining and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces, things like that. So I'm seeing more people outdoors in unenclosed spaces, which is sort of interesting.
And just a few more mosquitoes there, but...
That's why I have screens.
That's right. Bob, you guys have been in business over 75 years, which is, a huge accomplishment. How has the shift in outdoor living contributed to the growth of Dow?
Well, yeah, thank you. It is a significant gateway for our company. The outdoor living marketplace is billions and billions of dollars annually in the United States. So what it's allowed us to do is strengthen partnerships with existing customers and having them extend their businesses beyond the four walls and take it outside for more profit contribution and to extend their business. But then also with the suite of products and solutions on installation, it's given us a huge invite to new customers. Again, whether interior design, landscape architects, municipalities, everyone has these outdoor spaces, and we're all yearning for better solutions to make a better world. And it's really exciting because there's thousands and thousands of additional new customers that we're interplaying with on a daily basis.
But Alyssa, let me push that to you. So, being that you design in different climates and you have to do so many different products and how they work in each climate and how they're installed, right? How do you educate your team on working in those different climates? Because I know that takes so much time, right?
Yes. So, obviously interacting with our reps and just keeping up to date on all the newest products. And in the desert, we do use a lot of large form porcelain tiles also because they come larger than natural and then they withstand the heat as well. Like we would never specify basalt for the floor in the desert because it's a lava material and it actually gets so much hotter outside.
Even more natural stones get so hot, right?
Yes. And then also you have to seal them more and the maintenance and things like that. So they do make so many great porcelains now. And also because of the color variations and the dial-up variations, it's also just better and safer kind of to just use a lot more of the porcelain.
So you really lean on your reps to keep you educated of the placement and installation guides as well.
Yes and no, and just being current with everything. Yeah.
Robert, you work across DC, Palm Beach. Which region do you like working in the most and why?
Well, in the winter, I love working in Palm Beach. Pretty lovely. But it's also a very creative place too, and we are allowed to do a lot of different things that you probably wouldn't do in other climates. We, materials-wise, and I was just talking with Bob about this, we can use shells, we can use colors you wouldn't use other places. It's not very cold there ever usually. So we can use things that wouldn't necessarily hold up in regular climates. It's a little bit like the desert in that way. It's just more, unlike the
Humid.
Northeast. Yeah, it's way more humid. There's a lot of issues with salt and coastal conditions, so sun and wind. So you have to be careful with that. But then I do rely on reps to kind of guide me on finishes and coatings and things like that, because it can be a little bit tough. But usually there's more options, farther south.
So Alyssa, I can only speak for myself, but when I was young, many outdoor spaces where we grew up were just, a few pretty plants and a barbecue. Now I feel like I'm seeing 7 different living areas and outside projects that I'm getting from an editorial perspective. Why do you feel inspired? What do you feel has inspired this beautification process? Was it the pandemic when people are spending more time outside, or is it just the expansion in design in general?
Probably a combination of all of that. I mean, working in the high end of that desert as many years as I have, you have the front courtyard, and then you have the side courtyards, and then the back patio as well. So when this is someone's second, third home coming from their winter, like I have a lot of clients from Canada and things like that, they really want to embrace the outdoors while they're at their desert house. And so we always have little intimate areas, like off the master especially, and then in the front courtyard, and each one kind of has its own story. So it's like a little grouping, so you can have a small vignette and then have small conversations. And then in the backyard, we always do a large dining table, a fireplace, because it does get cold in the evenings as well. So for people to gather, and that's the more social area.
And in the desert, people are entertaining more, right? So you want to have more entertaining areas.
Everyone that's on the golf clubs, it's like, come to my house, and you're kind of already on the grass. So it's very easy for people to socialize, and that's what my clients love to do.
Right. And
entertain.
So, in that note, Bob, innovation, like you just discussed, especially in surfacing, has played a huge role. How has the expansion of outdoor living pushed the innovation of the material, right? Because porcelain is very different than what it first was, So how has it pushed you guys to evolve?
And we don't want to discount completely Mother Nature either. So granites, quartzites, soapstone are natural materials that really can perform well in outdoor environments if you want to lean into Mother Nature. But then, as Lindsay's mentioned, as the design capability has increased dramatically with new technology, case in point, we're starting to use AI to create even richer, bolder, more brilliant design in man-made product that replicate nature.
I was going to say, can you just expand on that? So is the AI copying natural stone to then print onto?
Yeah, it's a great question. So a few years ago, the highest technology was a scanner, where we would go source natural wood, natural stone, and we put it on a table and we scan it. And then we replicate that material almost identical to what Mother Nature's provided. And now it's moving to the next level with the use of AI to even get more refined and more richer in depth and structures and staining capabilities. It's really fascinating. So as we think about the environmental side of the equation, I'm sure most of us in the room like to work more eco-friendly, right, with our projects. Porcelain materials, as Alyssa's also said too, have just exploded in terms of capability and design, but they deliver beautiful function too. So it's a great storyline as a building product.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a really good point too, because there's such a discussion around sustainability now, and for me that's durability. And I love natural stone, I love wood and things like that in the right place. That's wonderful, of course. But when you can get a porcelain that looks like a wood or looks like a natural stone and it performs better, there is a place for that, and it certainly is a high-end product that people appreciate, because I hate getting calls 2 or 3, 5 years later from a client that says, why is this peeling? What's going on with this? And that's when you really want to have, a really great product that you've relied on. So,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of let's do it right first time, right material, right installation. And generally our customers want what? They want a great value, they want signature luxury, they want low maintenance. And if you can deliver that recipe, you end up with happier clients and more referrals. It's a recipe that really works for a lot of people.
More projects, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk a bit about the climate, because clearly as landscape designer, you have to deal with it. And a designer in California, we're dealing with that right now with our fire situation. Being from the East Coast, you know a thing or two about wind and rain and storms. And I'm curious in what ways you've had to shift your approach to your work to accommodate these more reoccurring storms and the stronger sun. And, if you could talk about how you guys do it from a landscape standpoint.
Sure. Well, there's certainly the planting aspect of it, which we're using more native species. We're using tougher things than we would have before. And then there's also the materials aspect of it. And Bob and I were just talking about pervious paving and how now porcelain is in that zone where you can use things like that. But for me, it's really a question of durability again. And rain and water is a huge deal on the East Coast, where we were having floods all along the East Coast from, I think, Vermont to Palm Beach, which is pretty crazy. That was not something we were having 20 years ago. And then, of course, fires out west, so materials that are, fire resistant.
With the flooding, and there's always so many questions of how do you set the stone? How do you, because it can wash right up. So
yeah,
it's a challenge.
And the underlayment part of it, too. It's not just the surface material. We were talking about how do you specify materials and how they're going to last with the adhesions and all sorts of things. How do you nail them down so they don't go anywhere? That's always.
And how are you constantly training your staff to know how to respond, to design in response to this?
Rely on vendors and people who really know. I mean, there's always new technology that's happening, every day, and that's why I'm here, and I think a lot of people are here. But you just have to constantly keep up with it because there are new products so often, which I appreciate, but also I don't know always about. So
it sounds like designers really rely on brands to have educational pieces for them and educational sessions. Elisa, in the past month, we've seen a lot of terrible wildfires in Los Angeles. There was a house I saw on Instagram that survived in the Palisades that was built out of concrete. It had a fire retardant spray on the roof. All of their landscaping had been sprayed. I'm just kind of curious, how you're working to design outdoor spaces so they withstand more of this potential fire damage.
It's funny. So I grew up in San Diego, and when I was in high school, so 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there was a huge fire in San Diego, and it burned so many houses. And I remember my family evacuated and stayed at my little beach apartment. And it's funny because after a big fire happens, everyone gets so, they remember, what you need to do. You need to, plant succulent plants, natural plants that are native, lower ones around the perimeter of the house. You also want non-combustible materials for the walkways and things around the house, and to have more space, negative space in between plants to allow for air and so the fire's not spreading as quickly. And then you want to plant your larger plants closer to the fence line and prune them and keep up on all the maintenance. But I think that people kind of get laxed and then don't keep up on it until another really big fire happens. Because it was a big deal after that fire when I was younger. But then, it kind of just, until another really big one happens, it's just keeping up on the maintenance of
But from
a
a material standpoint or a window standpoint, I've seen people with windows that have these drop-down covers. Are you doing anything with clients right now to help them mitigate even their physical home, not just the landscape?
Yes, well, I mean, all the materials that we specify, can be fire retardant for window drapes and things like that, and in materials. And if they're not in fabrics, you can always have them added. But I mean, we do use a lot of commercial materials in our residential projects because they last longer with families and kids like that. The durability of them is better as well.
And Bob, how is Daltile responding to this? What are you guys thinking in terms of your porcelains and your stones, how they could play a role in almost protecting a home?
Yeah, it's a great subject. And as Robert was alluding to, there's more to it than just the fire. There's flooding, and there's working with Mother Nature and the elements that she's going to throw at us, right? So in the Dow Tile program today, we have installation procedures and methods that cover a lot of these different areas of application, whether it's vertical, horizontal over concrete, or as Robert's mentioned, one of the next big emerging trends in hardscape is going to be permeable outdoor paving that works with Mother Nature, not against Mother Nature, because water is always going to find its low point, right? And then when you have too much water at too fast, you overload the system. And think about all the trash and debris and litter and fertilizer and chemicals that get dragged into our water sources if you don't have good stormwater management. But the fun thing is we have solutions today that can address that for your home building, for developments, for commercial applications, again, to work with Mother Nature and not against Mother Nature.
Good point. I want to know from all of you really quickly, like, what is the biggest challenge in your respective jobs right now designing around this? And maybe what's one unique way you've kind of pigeonholed yourself to as, in terms of an offering with your clients of how you can mitigate these issues? Robert?
Yeah, I'll go first. So it's installation. If you install it right the first time, everybody's happier. We have created warranty systems that can apply to direct bond over concrete substrates, either vertical or horizontal, or on grade with our permeable hardscape systems. And the warranty packages can go from 5-year up to 25-year and include labor and materials. And we have the technical support teams coast to coast to help our customers and the installer base learn the process, follow the technique and the recipe, and have happier, better outcomes. And again, I mentioned this concept of better solutions for a better world. Install it right the first time, and we back it up with warranty packages as part of that confidence level for you and for your contractors and for your clients. So think about the outcome. Everybody's happier. The end user's happier because they have something that works for a long time with low maintenance. The installer's happier because they're using improved methods of installation and maybe making a few extra margin dollars because it's a little more detailed. The owner of the project or the builder is happier because he has less callbacks, happier clients, more referrals. And we as a supply chain partner are packaging it all up for a 360 solution.
Very smart. But you, Robert?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think your point, Bob, about maintenance is really huge. At the high end, at the luxury level, people don't want to see things that are falling apart. So if they're coming to their second home, for 2 weeks from Canada, they want it to be beautiful then, not in 2 weeks, when they leave. So thinking about material selections for sure. Thinking about what issues you might see with dirt and soil. Alyssa works in the West, and that's different than where I work. But for the East Coast, it's mildew, algae. So products that are porcelain can be easier to clean, which is huge, because these products are around for 365 days a year, but the clients may not be there that long. So having good surfaces, good materials, low maintenance for me is a luxury product.
And that's kind of your niche, you feel, as you focus
on
that.
Yeah, I don't get calls back from clients, which is really nice.
Oh, that is good. I want to move on to trends, because that's what we're here to see, right, over the next couple of days. Alyssa, as editors, we see so many different things in projects right now coming out of California, but I'd love to hear what's the most unique outdoor space you've recently designed in. Like, what was unique about it from a trend perspective?
So the most unique space I've designed recently is actually the house was Moroccan inspired. We actually went to Casablanca and Fez with the client, the builder, and the architect to go look at all, find the vendors and actually see where we can source all the hand chiseled Zalige tile, plaster, and hardwood. So they actually use a lot of math in all of their designs. It's very
A lot of what? I'm sorry.
math.
Math. Okay.
A lot of math. All of the points and like all the tiles and everything that how they're designed, there's so much math that actually goes behind it. And actually, the artisans that create all this, they work for 5 years as an apprentice until they can actually start making all the products. And so our client, she wanted a really Moroccan-inspired home that was all with natural materials. And so designing the interior courtyard was the largest challenge because of all the angles and the math to actually lay out all of the hand-cut tiles properly. So we're working on that right now.
When is that through? So we can see it?
It's probably another year.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Bob, I think there's always a debate, and I know we've been championing porcelain right now, but there's still a debate of natural versus man-made. When it comes to decking and stone for outdoor kitchens, what do you advise clients consider? Always porcelain?
No. As I mentioned, Mother Nature still's got a role to play. I think there's a couple of things you need to keep in mind early in the conversation on product selection. Durability, weather, the addition of chemicals. You think about urban settings, Robert works in urban settings, you have acid rain. And sometimes that can impact, natural products, with that type of infused, nasty rainwater, for an example. So you have to think through the application, what the client's expectations are. And again, generally what we find is I want signature luxury with limited maintenance. It's kind of the recipe.
You agree?
Yes, that's huge. Yeah.
But could you tell us maybe just any stone trends you're seeing right now from a sales standpoint? What are people going darker? Are we going more? Are we staying in, marbles? Where are we at?
Okay, so if we talk about slabs or countertops for a minute, the rising hero are porcelain panels. And we were so fortunate, we manufactured, just released to market 2 centimeter thick porcelain, which is color body, that we're recommending and using in outdoor countertop applications. You know why? Because it just doesn't wear out. It requires very little maintenance, and it just lasts for decades and looks beautiful. Now, conversely, though, we sell a lot of natural stone materials, too. And I mentioned earlier, granite still have a place. Quartzites is a great building product. When you think about outdoor counter spaces, very non-porous and very durable. And then the third is a surprise, soapstone. I mean, a lot of the folks in the room may not be familiar with soapstone. It's got limited color palette, but it's very non-porous and it just weathers so well. And when you're thinking about natural stones for your countertop applications, think about matte finish or leathered finishes. I would stay away from polished finishes in natural stone for outdoor counter applications.
Alyssa, what trends are you seeing from clients? Are we wanting green? Or are we like color trend?
Well, it's funny because I'm working in 2 different markets now, so it's a little different. But in Park City, a lot of the houses have the sauna cold plunge room. And they all have, it's actually a lot healthier than Southern California. It blows my mind. But so with that, we are using a lot of the vertical porcelain slabs in those rooms to withstand the heat and then the moisture maybe from a steam room as well. But color trends, they're going warmer. I've never been a super cool person in general, so my projects have all leaned warmer. But I'm seeing more with the greens and the pinks as well. Like a lot of this.
I'm seeing a lot of green and pinks.
Yeah, like I just specified some marbles that have the green and pinks and beige, which I haven't used in years. So.
Pink is a neutral.
Yes. Obviously.
Well, I want to just, before we close out, I have a few more questions, but I want to talk about pool design because, that's such a behemoth. I mean, we could probably spend 2 hours talking about that. But I'd love to know, especially from you two, like how are you designing pools right now from a stone perspective? And, what are the trends you're seeing evolve?
Well, actually, to go back to your last question about trends in general, I have clients reverse snowbirding, so moving from Palm Beach north So that's the whole issue. They want to age in place in their home up north now. So again, the surfaces are very important. The maintenance needs to be lower. We are putting 2 large pools in. We're putting in a large lap pool, 50 feet or so, and then we're doing a plunge pool that's going to be cooled during the summer, which is interesting. So people want that flexibility when it comes to hot and cold.
And what are you using for your surrounds? Like, I'm curious about that.
Under discussion still. I think porcelain may be an option, actually, in this project, but we're probably going to go with a natural stone for a good part of it. But we do have an indoor-outdoor space where you want to be able to hose it off and to clean it very easily. So we would probably try and match the exterior stone, which would be natural, with a man-made product.
And are a lot of clients still moving towards natural grass or fake grass?
It really depends. I mean, in the East, natural is big. In urban situations, it can be more porcelain and things like that. It really depends. Yeah, it's hard to say.
How about you? Anything with pool design?
Yes, we actually do design a lot of pools and specify materials for the backyards and pools. And so we've done porcelain and natural. Like, we just actually won a Pinnacle Pool Design Award. And for that pool, when we redesigned it, we used porcelain and porcelain coping, but then we did a fire, like a natural, or a big fire feature on one side of the whole pool wall, and that was from natural stone. So we did a combination.
It's a combination.
I think the mixing is what people are more open to now. I think people previously thought porcelain was a very one-note kind of product. It was white or it was gray or whatever. But now with the AI, which was new to me today, and the new materials, I think people are much more comfortable mixing, and it looks great.
Yeah, if it's done properly, I feel that like the two need to match up really well, because you don't want the porcelain to not look real if you know what I mean. It depends on the materials, but I do agree. But they're more out there
from
now.
a color perspective. I'm still seeing a lot of the dark bottom pools and like kind of the more natural surrounds and copings, like very subdued, minimal pool design. Still on the rise.
I think if it's more sculptural, like if it's in the entry and things like that, to do the all black still I love, and it reflects so beautifully in the evenings and things like that. It's almost like a picture in it, and it's a sculptural piece. And then the backyards, now we're doing more lighter pools, though. I've been seeing that trend.
I wanted to know, because you work in terraces, as we've discussed, I can't even imagine designing a terrace after living in New York City. Like the thought that goes into that, from the wind, from the, having to take everything off if you need to. Like, can you just give us a little insight into what you're working on with terraces?
Yeah, roof terraces are a whole different ballgame when it comes to design. I like to think of them as a beach. So anything you'd use on a beach, you'd use on a roof terrace. So finishes certainly have to be more durable. Planting material has to be things that would be like grasses or salt-tolerant materials. So just thinking of it as a coastal environment, any finishes can work as long as they're the right kind of specification for it. So just thinking durability on a rooftop when it comes to finishes for me.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about a pool, I assume.
No, exactly. Yeah, not generally. Yeah.
And final question to you: what are you seeing in terms of differences in trends from residential to hospitality? Because we're really seeing the level of design that's going into hospitality design, and it's mind-blowing. So I don't know if you could speak to a little bit of your hospitality work.
Yeah, I'd say a couple of quick comments following up on the pool. Porcelain is being used for waterline applications. Why? Because customers want less grout joints, less maintenance, and I want a longer lineal look, because more pools today are being built with geometric design versus freeform. And freeform is where you have the curvatures, etc. So, again, another great building choice. When we think about hospitality, they're really up in the game in terms of the finishes, the sizes. Larger is better. We have paving today that are 48 by 48, 48 inches by 48 inches. Could you imagine hauling one of those pieces of...
They're huge.
That's amazing.
Of porcelain around and trying to put it in place? I can't do it. And Robert mentioned also in hospitality, we find a lot of these balconies and rooftops that we're converting usually unused space into usable space for tenants and clients and employees and associates. It's called a raised floor system, where you actually raise the porcelain paver or the concrete paver from the substrate So you have a perfectly flat monolithic surface that contours with your pedestals up below for rain and storm water and drainage. And the good news is Dow Tile has a number of raised floor systems, including tie-down systems for wind uplift. Because as we work on rooftops, you work on balconies, if you get hurricane winds, it's a problem when you have a 36-pound tile flying off a 10-story building. So again, the good news is, though, we have solutions for tie-down and bond for wind uplift protection in these applications. And again, the hospitality is really going through the roof in terms of more usable space in these properties to be more attractive than their competitor.
I mean, our hotel alone at the Fountain Blue, there's more stone than I've seen in every room in a long time. Beautiful, right?
That was one of our big projects.
Oh, perfect. Good. I'm plugging it for you. Well, before we open up to questions, I want to just ask each of you to share something exciting that you have coming up with your companies. So anything here with you, Robert?
Sure. We're working on a few different collaborations with outdoor lighting.
That's a huge need, actually.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. But again, we're seeing so much technology happening on the inside with LEDs and things like that. We just really want to see more options when it comes to exterior sconces and
decorative.
More decorative and also more energy efficient and also tied into home automation systems. So anything you can do inside, you should be able to do outside. We're also looking at electric grills and things like that as well as another topic. But yeah, electrification in the landscape.
We just wrote about an electric grill, Fire Magic. It's supposed to be an excellent electric grill. How about you, Alyssa?
We have a few exciting things happening. We are working on a few brand collaborations right now as well. And then I'm also in the process of launching our own product line. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm going to have it launch in June.
Do we get an idea of what it is?
No. June.
And what's new at Dow Tile that we need to, I know we need to go to the booth to see what's new, correct?
Yeah, the big news that everybody in this room's going to experience and live through is your outdoor hardscaping is going to be permeable, water-friendly systems. You think about, at some point in a lot of people in the room in their lifespan, probably water is going to become more precious than oil. So how do we work with Mother Nature? How do we trap storm water? How do we recharge our aquifers with paving and with systems and hardscaping, again, that avoid the runoff into the water system, avoid running the water down the mountain into my neighbor's backyard versus filling my aquifer back up from my well system on my custom home in Aspen. So we're very excited, and we think it's going to revolutionize the hardscape industry in North America with the advent of better building products for the surface and better installation methods on grade in such a wide range of application. Residential, commercial, pedestrian, vehicle traffic. Come visit, come learn. You'll be excited about what you see.
As someone who's just been through this crazy fire season and also a hurricane season, I see such, I think we need to be thinking so much more forward about how we're building right now in terms of this. So really awesome. So does anyone here have any questions? You can just raise your hand, maybe.
Thank you. Obviously, Dow Tile is your go-to for, which has been a long-time favorite of mine, for surfaces and tile. But I wanted to ask, who are your go-to for that check all the boxes, sustainability, value, and luxury for electronics, outdoors, furniture, appliances? I don't know if it's appropriate to ask that here, but obviously we know who it's Dow Tile, which is a great one. But that's what I was curious about. All the other elements that make up outdoor luxury spaces, who are your go-to people?
Why don't you talk about like lighting and automation, and maybe you touch upon furniture?
Yeah, I love Urban Electric for outdoor lighting. It is expensive, but again, they have a 5-year coastal testing system, so all of their pieces can take 5 years in Florida which is a tough place to live, I think, as some people know. There's hurricanes, there's heat, there's salt and things like that. So that's a really good one. Is that, and then kitchens? Or you're going to
Or any automation, any other automation products?
We work with a few different companies. I'm blanking on them right now, but they should all connect into the systems you use in the house. So usually someone else specifies that, and we just make sure it will work with the outdoor stuff.
Yeah. And about furniture, you can also talk about lighting.
So for furniture, I mean, any natural material would be the most sustainable and green. So teak and wood and things like that. Obviously, those are also more expensive, and then the sun can wear on them as well. So I feel like every product has its pros and cons. So, I mean, you could do a wicker and things like that, which would be more cost effective and can maybe withstand the sun a little bit longer, but eventually will get beat up as well. But then also if you're dealing in the mountains, maybe a wicker is better because it's more water resistant and not as porous as a teak. But I think there's pros and cons to every material. It just really depends on the price point. I mean, obviously, if you're going with a higher price point product, they do last longer, and that's why you're paying more. It's not just cheaper is better. So if a client, and especially for outdoor furniture, it takes a beating. So if you're doing really cost-effective furniture, they're just going to end up buying furniture more often, which is also less sustainable as well.
I often think Tedeli, which is a Brazilian company that designs with rope, works really well in the more humid climates where there's more rain. I think it wears a little bit better from what I've seen. I think it also works in the desert.
I mean, McKinnon and Harris is really great.
McKinnon and Harris, yeah.
Again, very, very expensive. But if you have a product that'll work with, it's metal, it's aluminum, it's handmade.
Powder coated to like the nth
Powder
degree.
coated is fantastic. Yeah.
I use a lot of Sutherlands, and that's a really great teak line if you're looking for a nice teak line.
Hey, Lindsay, can I ask the audience a question? Yeah. Is anybody putting decks up, above grade decking? Anybody doing any above grade decking? 1, 2, 3. There's a product in the market today, Fortress Building Products, that has steel frame decking. So you think about burn proof and you think about indestructible. You use Fortress for your foundation of your decking for these above grade elevations, and you put porcelain pavers as the finished material on top. It's indestructible, zero maintenance, lasts 50 years.
And I know TimberTech also has developed a product that's used with recycled materials that's fire retardant. So I can't speak to all the details of it, but I know they're working on something. So, any other questions? Yes.
Is it working? I'm a victim of the Palisades fire. Lost my home and my office. So aside from rebuilding my own home, I'll be working for a lot of clients doing the same. You touched on a little bit of defensible space with plantings and so forth. So question 1 would be, how do you make a house look pretty with 5 feet of defensible space in front of it? I used to have ivy growing on my own. And second question is, have a clean slate to build a house for not only aging in place, but also indoor-outdoor kitchen. So in terms of connecting the kitchen to the outdoor kitchen and design options with that would be my 2 questions.
So do you want to take the kitchen indoor-outdoor?
I always think a pass-through kitchen window is great. I think for entertaining, and then it can just open the indoor to the outdoors, and then you hear the conversation, and then so you're more connected with what's going on if you're the one in the house prepping, and then also vice versa. If your guests are outside, then you can just be a little more connected. So I think that would be something nice to include, if you could.
And I know Marvin was actually working on this crazy automated one that you can program to go up at certain times of the day, and so the automation I think is key with window.
Yeah, and I can talk about defensible space. I mean, we all have the diagrams on how you should do it. Look at that, and then don't do the exact lines. So you can do 6 feet out with gravel and things like that. Don't make it so cookie cutter. Certainly follow the guidelines when it comes to the plant material, and don't have anything tall next to the house. I mean, beyond that, just follow the guidelines. Yeah.
Any other questions? Don't be shy. Got a long day ahead. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for all your expertise. And if you do have one-on-one questions, we'll be here for a minute. Looking forward to seeing what you do in the future. Especially we have to head to Del Tal now and see all the innovation of the materials. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
you.